whatever they could ferment out in the desert. And I had I had one buddy that was making wine using like Welch's grape juice. He got a big water jug and was making Welch's grape juice wine from concentrate. It was actually not bad. Of course, when you've been out in the desert for over a year, anything's not bad. I had another buddy that was re-fermenting non-alcoholic beer, which was disgusting. And how many
MRE honey packets does it take to make a gallon of mead?
74.
Yeah, no, a lot. But I tried the basically the hooch wine, and it was good. And I said, I could get into the home brewing. It sounds kind of interesting, the concept and everything. But everybody makes wine, and I don't care about brewing beer yet. And it's like, I'm an old geek, and I always followed my own drummer anyway, so I'm going to look up how to make mead. And from my little tent in the middle of the Kuwaiti desert, I got on my computer and Googled up how to make mead, and guess what my first hit was?
Maybe got mead?
And so I got on there, read the main page, and I said, "There's a forum." I'm probably the one guy that did that. I read everything.
That there's actually a site. Yeah.
I read the entire main site, every single thing.
Oh my God, dude! There was a bucket of stuff up there.
In the middle of the Kuwaiti desert. Think about that.
That's
nothing better to do.
I had a lot of spare time. So I read the entire main site. And then went to the forum.
All right, fellow Americans, this is your tax dollars at work.
Hey, now.
Hey, that's a good use of time as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'd say it beats heck out of what we usually do with our tax dollars. So
after I finished all that and I got into the forum, though, I read a lot. I didn't even post for the first couple of weeks. I was just too busy reading everything. And then I started posting, and then I started bothering people, asking them about stuff, and all of the, your typical noob. I asked all of the same questions that every single new person asks, until one of the older people just kind of reaches up, slaps me in the back of the head, and says, "Hey, read this book," and he referred me to Ken's book, The Complete Mead Maker. So I, once again having plenty of time, immediately got on Amazon and ordered it. So I read that, and
6 months later, when it showed up in Kuwait.
Pretty much.
I know how long it takes to get a care package to Kuwait, so.
At that time, about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Amazon wasn't too bad with that. They got it through really quick. The slowdown was never them. But then while I was reading that, I found the Joe's Ancient Orange recipe on the website, and I made that in my wall locker. And just before I came home, I siphoned it off into some water bottles, and me and a couple of my buddies had like one glass each with a barbecue that we made for my going away party. They were all like, "Oh, where'd you get this? How'd you get this here?" And I was like, "I made it." "How come you didn't tell us?" I was like, "Well, as soon as you tell anybody, it's not a secret anymore, and I could get fired for stuff like this." So,
not to mention your buddies would have broke into your locker and drunk it anyway. So,
exactly. So, but that was it. I mean, at the same time I was doing this, my wife was making a batch for when I got home. So there was more there, too.
Now that is awesome.
Oh, yeah, my wife's awesome. She went out, got all the ingredients in a big sun tea jar and threw it all in there and stuck it in a cover, and it was ready when I got home.
That's great.
So,
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Reader's. That is actually the Reader's Digest version. There's more to it, but that's it in a nutshell. I started making mead in a place I was not allowed to do it.
Kuwaiti desert. That makes it taste better.
Yeah.
Little sand makes everything taste better. Haven't you ever had hot dogs on the beach?
Anything the general doesn't know about, don't hurt him.
Right.
Don't
tell me the general didn't have a bottle of hooch in his desk. I mean, seriously.
Hey, how would I know?
I know, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. It was probably whiskey, though.
More likely. Some
if it was a general, it would be scotch. I mean, they can afford that kind of stuff. Hamish is saying not hot dogs on the beach. That's for fish and chips.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll have fish and chips anytime, but yeah, hot dogs on the beach is kind of an American tradition thing.
Yeah.
Hot dogs over
It's
a
hot.
fire is kind of a Canadian thing because
Right.
otherwise you need a fire permit.
Well, yeah.
If it's not a cooking fire, you need a fire permit.
Oh my gosh. Really?
In a lot of places, especially if you're in and around the cities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do that a lot over here too.
Yeah, well, you got even less space to worry
Yeah.
about. And everything is so much closer together. If a fire gets out of hand, it's a big problem there. Whereas here, sometimes we get some dry spells that get a little interesting. So,
Well, it's not like we burned down all of Europe. It's an island after all.
well, that and
That's true.
you want to register the fact with the fire department that you're having a fire, so that when your neighbors call the fire department, they don't send everything they've got because they already know you were having a fire.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
Hey, so
Yeah.
So what's the average length of time that it takes for the recipes in the book to be ready? Are these quick or is it, or does it run the length from a few months to a few years?
Yeah, that varies by recipe. I've never really had a set. Once you get everything out, when you've got it all racked off to age and bulk age, you just wait till it tastes good and then bottle it. I don't really. Yeah, I don't have a really cut and dry. There's no right time to bottle with the stuff that I do.
Okay, it just
I know they are typically ready quicker now that I've started using the Tosno nutrients.
what are we talking? 3-6 months?
Yeah, typically. I've had stuff done that was good in 2 or 3 months, and I've had some of them around 6 to 8. Every once in a while, you'll get one. Like with the chocolates, they tend to take about a year just because of the chocolate.
That seems to be the case with a lot of chocolate meads that I've seen.
Yeah.
Is that they
Yeah.
just need to
I
take
have-
time to get to where they're good, and that's just the nature of the beast with chocolate.
Yeah,
Well,
that
it's
makes
like-
sense.
One batch I made at the same time I made the Jammy Dodger that I'm aging right now. I mean, right now it's probably about 2 or 3 months old. And I made a 10-liter batch of orange ginger at the same time. Now that one is crystal clear, smells incredible, and no, that I don't think that one's in the book. But it just the smell is just so promising. But right now it is so incredibly hot. I couldn't. You can't drink it right now. It's just horribly hot. It's the diffusals, the everything that every possible bad young mead flavor you can think of is right there. But it's obvious that it's just that it's young. But oh my God, the smell is incredible. It's going to be really good when it comes down. I may enter that one next year.
Do you get a chance to do much with temperature control with where you're making your meads?
Yeah, I'm in England. I don't have much problem with temperature control.
Stays pretty cool there, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot more challenging when I lived in Arizona, and my air conditioning bill showed it.
Yeah, tell me about temperature control. I've got thousands of dollars invested in air conditioning.
Yeah. Well, I've already got planned out when I retire. We are retiring to Arizona eventually.
Oh, is that where you
and,
decided?
Yes, that's where we decided. Yeah, we.
The royal way.
I would
But we've also
continue to use it
decided
that way.
when we decided that we were going to retire to Arizona, we also decided that when we buy our retirement home, it will have a casita/mead room
Nice.
with its own ECU. So one room will be at good temperature rather than the whole house.
Well, don't forget you can go down.
I was gonna say, can you do basements in Arizona? I know
I
some
think so.
places you can.
Yeah. See, every basement I've ever seen in Arizona was nice and cool, and it would be ideal. But a basement in Arizona literally doubles the cost of the house.
Dang.
Oh.
Don't be silly. You can put in a basement anywhere. I did.
Because they're
Just
so
don't tell anyone. Get a
they're-
shovel
they're-
and
they're
don't tell
so-
anyone.
they're so hard packed that they basically have to blast them out.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty
that's
common
what-
here too. But pretty much everything's got a basement here because if you don't put it underground, you're gonna freeze it in the winter.
Yeah.
In Michigan, everybody has them. Here in North Carolina, they're few and far between. I was fortunate to get a house that had a basement, and my friends still go, "You've got a basement?" Like it's the Holy Grail. And of course, Manny lives where the water table is above ground. So
Yeah, I have not had a
The basement
basement
too.
since I left Michigan,
Huh.
and that was 2004. So I mean, it's been a while.
they're not as much of a
Up
thing
until-
as they were. You know.
Up until then, I always had a basement. My whole life, I thought houses just came with basements.
Me too.
Same here.
I was stunned to find out there were houses that were like sitting on pads and there was nothing but a crawl space. Like, but why? What's the point?
I know.
I don't get that.
Yeah,
Makes
you
no
can't put
sense.
anything down there.
Yeah. What are you?
See, I understand, like, I understand stone foundation in the basement, I got a duct in, but, having none? Weird.
Yeah.
Until you explain Florida and the water table.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
then,
Well,
okay,
that's
sort of
it.
makes
Literally, I mean, you can push your foot down hard, and in a lot of places the water will come up. So.
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay.
What was
Okay.
that?
I was gonna say when
My
I
house
lived
is
in
on
Florida, we
stilts.
didn't have one.
Your house is
still-
because you're in hurricane country and you're close to the water, Manny.
Yeah.
So you have to be. Isn't it like a rule there? At least it is in coastal North Carolina. If your house isn't on stilts, the insurance companies tell you to get stuffed.
Yeah, no, it's not a rule, but nobody will buy the house. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's slab because it's gonna crack. It's gonna bend
Yeah.
inside of a month.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, I had to turn my basement into a swimming pool to keep the water out.
Yeah.
Fair.
So I've actually built it like a concrete swimming pool, and the water's on the outside of it. So it's an inverted swimming pool.
Swimming pool to keep the water out. That's different.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, going back to the recipes. Yeah, I categorized the entire book per the BJCP competition categorization method. If anybody's looking at it, they don't have to go, how would I enter this if I made it in a competition? They know already it's in the header. So it's not labeled as methic-lens, traditionals, weird-mills, or capsimils or anything. It's just by traditionals, sizers, fruit and spice, mixed fruit, like that,
Yeah, so it's
Just
like
how they did it.
M3B, spice, herb, and vegetable meads.
Yeah. Each chapter is headed like that in the recipe section.
And there
Oh,
is
just for
Go ahead, man.
Just for the beginners out there, BJCP is if I'm not mistaken, the beer judge certification program.
Correct.
Yes.
They're also the keepers of the categories for beer, cider, or beer and mead, and I think cider too.
I think they got into ciders
Yeah,
as well.
I think they're getting into ciders. But yeah.
Yeah, they have ciders. They have ciders.
But I kind of missed the old ways, but this way is more efficient because, I mean, we're up to about 30 different categories of meads. And it's like, wow, you can't really judge these when there's like 100 of them.
Yeah. Well, that was the Mazer Cup ended up having to do that with like the berry melomels, was take that category and then subdivide it into dry, semi, and sweet berry melomels. Then they had to further break it down into
Single fruit, mixed fruit, fruits with spices.
Yeah, because it was just categories were ginormous. I don't even know what they've broken them all up into now. I'll have to look and see what they've done this year. But it was to the point where some of the categories were so large they had to break them up so that we could judge them.
Yeah, see, the only hiccup I've seen in that, for the most part, I'm a big supporter of that recategorization. The only hiccup I've run into is with sizers, because most sizers aren't just apple juice. They'll have some spices of some sort in with them. And now if you put a stick of cinnamon in with your sizer, it is now a fruit and spice. It's not a sizer anymore.
Yeah.
It's categorized as fruit and spice mead. So really sizers is a very limited category now because it's just apple juice. So, when I won the sizer category at Mazer Cup, that was a very spiced mead, a spiced sizer. Because that was when I used Pete's Mutiny on the Bounty recipe. And my take on that one actually won first place in the category, so I was really happy.
Yeah.
Like that was the first thing I ever won, and I was like, "Holy smokes!"
You mean I did
I
what?
took first at the Mazer Cup. Yeah, well, you saw me.
Yeah, I did.
And then taking traditional that year as well. That was amazing.
That's very cool. Yes, ciders may be one of those things that gets its own category sooner or later.
Well, it has a category. The problem is that the only thing that can go in sizer is plain straight up sizer. It's like a traditional sizer.
So what they need to do is add a spiced sizer then. Or
let's call it a subcategory,
there
I guess.
Needs to be, and that's something I think that's being worked on because the BJCP and the MCI work pretty closely together. MCI people were instrumental in helping to create the Mead certification test, and as well as many other notoriety ridden people in the industry, but the MCI has had some input as to potential new or subdivided categories as they move forward. So
Yeah, I could see adding a few more categories, but not as many as we had before.
no. As it
We
is,
had way too many.
yeah.